Once upon a time, in a quiet green valley where the mist clung to the hills like a soft blanket, there stood a small, crooked cottage. The roof sagged, the windows rattled in the wind, and ivy crept along the walls like old memories refusing to fade. In that humble cottage lived a poor widow and her son, Jack, a bright, cheerful boy with eyes full of curiosity and dreams far bigger than his world. Their only possession of value was a gentle brown cow named Milky White. Every morning, Milky White would stand patiently by the fence as Jack milked her, singing to her softly. Her milk kept them alive through hard winters, and she was as much a part of the family as Jack himself. But time is a thief of strength. As the years passed, Milky White's milk began to dry up. One morning, the pail came up nearly empty, and Jack's mother, tired and pale, sat at the table staring at the last crust of bread. "Jack," she said softly, "we've nothing left to eat. You must take Milky White to the village market and sell her. Whatever you get, gold, silver, even copper, it must be enough to keep us alive." Jack's heart sank. He loved that old cow dearly, but he knew his mother was right. "I'll do my best, mother," he said, hugging her tightly. He led Milky White down the dusty lane, the sun warm on his shoulders, the sound of her soft hooves echoing in the still morning. As Jack neared a bend in the road, he met a strange little man. His cloak shimmered with hints of green and gold, and his eyes sparkled as though he knew all the world's secrets. "Well now," said the man cheerfully, "that's a fine cow you've got there, young traveler. Where are you off to with her?" "To the market," said Jack. "We've fallen on hard times, sir, and I must sell her for whatever I can get." The man chuckled softly. "Ah, but what if I offered you something far greater than coins?" Jack frowned. "Greater than money?" The man reached into his pocket and drew out 5 small beans, each one glimmering faintly as if touched by starlight. "These," he whispered, "are magic beans. Plant them tonight, and by morning you'll see wonders beyond your imagination." Jack hesitated. "Magic beans? Are you sure?" The man's voice grew deep and serious. "Trust in what grows unseen. The greatest treasures often begin small." Jack's curiosity burned brighter than his doubt. The man's words felt like a secret invitation to adventure. And so, with a trembling hand, he traded Milky White for the 5 beans. When he got home, his mother was waiting anxiously at the door. "Well, Jack, how much did you get for her?" "Mother," Jack said, his eyes alight, "I brought something wonderful. Magic beans. They'll grow overnight into something amazing." For a moment, his mother just stared. Then her face turned red with anger and heartbreak. "Magic beans?" she cried. "Oh, Jack, what foolishness! You've traded our last hope for nonsense." In her despair, she snatched the beans from his hand and threw them out the window. "Now go to bed, Jack," she said, turning away in tears. "We'll have no supper tonight." Jack crept to his little bed under the eaves, his heart heavy with shame. He could hear his mother quietly sobbing by the fire. When dawn came, a strange green light filled his room. Jack opened his eyes and gasped. Outside, right where the beans had fallen, stood the most enormous beanstalk he had ever seen. Its vines twisted thick as oak trunks, its leaves wide as wagon wheels, and it rose so high it disappeared into the clouds above. "Mother," he shouted, "come quick. The beans, they were truly magic." But his mother clutched her apron, trembling. "Jack, don't you dare climb that thing. It's not natural." Jack only smiled. "Don't worry, mother. I'll be careful." Before she could stop him, he grabbed a vine and began to climb. Higher and higher he went, past the tallest trees, through drifting clouds that brushed his face like cool mist. Birds circled below him, and the earth grew smaller and smaller until it looked like a patchwork quilt. Finally, after hours of climbing, Jack reached the top and stepped into a land like no other. The ground beneath him was soft and shining, like a meadow made of clouds. In the distance stood a gigantic castle, its towers glittering in the sunlight, its gates taller than any tree Jack had ever seen. Cautiously, Jack walked up the silver path that led to the castle gate. There he met a kind-faced giant woman wearing an apron as big as a sail. "Good day, ma'am," said Jack, bowing politely. "I'm hungry and far from home. Could you spare me a little food?" The giant woman frowned kindly. "Oh, poor boy, I'd gladly feed you, but if my husband finds you, he'll eat you for breakfast. Still, you look half-starved. Come in, and I'll give you a bit before he returns." Jack stepped inside, marveling at the enormous kitchen. Pots big enough to bathe and hung from the walls, and loaves of bread were stacked like hay bales. He had barely taken a bite when the ground began to tremble. "Quick!" the giantess cried. "Aye!" Jack dove into the oven as heavy footsteps thundered closer. The door swung open with a crash, and a booming voice filled the hall. "Fee-fi-fo-fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "You smell nothing but the wind," his wife said calmly. "Sit and eat your breakfast." The giant grumbled, sat down, and soon forgot his anger. On the table he placed a bag of gold coins, counting them slowly until his head nodded and he began to snore. When the giant was asleep, Jack crept out, grabbed one sack of gold, and ran. Down the beanstalk he went, faster than the wind, his heart pounding. When he reached home, his mother nearly fainted with joy. "Jack, where did this come from?" Jack told her everything. For a while, they lived comfortably, buying food, mending their cottage, and living without fear. But gold runs out faster than one expects. Soon, Jack's eyes turned once again to the towering beanstalk. "Please, Jack," his mother begged. "Don't go. That place is dangerous." "I'll be careful, Mother," he promised. "Just one more climb." So up he went again, through the swirling mist, until he reached the castle. The giantess was surprised to see him, but couldn't help taking pity once more. She hid him in a copper pot just as the giant returned. "Fee-fi-fo-fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman." "Nonsense," said his wife. "You're dreaming again." The giant grunted. "Bring me my hen." From a golden cage, his wife fetched a plump, white hen. "Lay," commanded the giant, and the hen laid a golden egg. Another and another, each one gleaming like sunlight. When the giant fell asleep, Jack slipped from his hiding place, took the hen, and escaped down the beanstalk once more. His mother was waiting. When he showed her the hen and said lay, a golden egg appeared before her eyes. They laughed, cried, and hugged. They would never be poor again. But curiosity has a way of calling louder than comfort. One morning, Jack gazed at the beanstalk once more. "There's one more treasure up there," he thought. "I can feel it." He climbed again. This time, the giantess was terrified. "You foolish boy. If my husband catches you again, nothing will save you." "Please," Jack said. "Just one last time." She sighed, then hid him in the pantry. The giant stomped in, roaring louder than ever. "Fee-fi-fo-fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." But again his wife soothed him. Then the giant said, "Bring me my harp." She placed before him a beautiful golden harp with strings that shimmered like moonlight. "Sing," he commanded. The harp played a melody so haunting and beautiful that Jack felt tears in his eyes. But when the song ended, the harp whispered softly, "Master, I long to be free." Jack waited until the giant slept, then snatched the harp and ran. But the harp cried out, "Master, master, help, thief!" The giant roared awake and thundered after him. shaking the castle walls. Jack raced down the beanstalk, the giant's footsteps pounding above him. "Mother," he shouted, "bring me the axe." His mother came running. Jack swung the axe with all his might. Once, twice, and with a crash that echoed through the valley, the beanstalk split in two. The giant tumbled from the clouds, let out a terrible roar, and fell to his doom. Silence followed. Then, the harp in Jack's arms began to play a soft, sweet tune of freedom. From that day on, Jack and his mother lived in comfort. The hen laid golden eggs, the harp filled their home with music, and their hearts were finally at peace. But Jack never forgot his adventures. He learned that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about daring to climb, even when you're afraid. And sometimes, all it takes to change your life is a single act of faith, or maybe just a handful of magic beans. Seedling.